That's how brothers be looking out. Hey. Peace. Everybody, welcome to Burn It Down with Kim Brown, the Tuesday edition, where we set oppression ablaze. This could be a safe space. I think maybe it used to be. Well, actually, YouTube is stepping on it and shadow ban it. So it actually might be a safe space because I don't know if anyone's going to see it. So we might be completely safe here to literally pop all the shit we want to because YouTube is guaranteeing that eyeballs will be turned away. So it could be a safe space. It could not be. Please tread carefully before you pop too much shit. I'm talking to you, Kim Brown. All right. So come on in here, everybody. This is our is this the holiday week? It sure is. Hope you guys are enjoying the holiday. I don't know. Do people enjoy the holiday season? Maybe some do, maybe some don't. I'm not partial to the holidays simply because it's in December. If we actually celebrated Christ's birth date when he was actually born, we'd be doing this under barbecue. It would be BBQ conditions outside. So, but of course, they had to move the pagan holiday, call it Christ's birthday, move it to the fourth quarter because we know that the fourth quarter retail sales can sometimes get sluggish. Subtract Black Friday and all of the holidays away from that fourth quarter of capitalism, and the shit is looking a little shaky. So they said, you know what? How about Christmas in December? Did it sound good, church? All righty. Church said they didn't care. Church said whatever. Open Google Docs. So here we are. Now, I think I would be enjoying the season a little bit better. You guys remember, yeah, you may be of a certain age, but I think they still run these commercials. But when Corona would show the palm tree lit up with Christmas lights, with someone whistling, "Oh Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree," while they relaxed on the inlet with the lit up palm tree as the Christmas tree. See, that's where I think I could be really enjoying the season. But no, here I am. Marooned, dare I say. Am I maroon? I know I do not classify as a maroon per se, but I do feel abandoned here on this continent because this is not my natural state of being. I'm usually in tropical conditions, says my soul in my DNA. My reality, however, says differently. No matter, we persist, we push on, we persevere. And I told you guys we survived. Now, if you guys notice, I took my last live down. That's because I felt as if I was even spicy for me. That was even spicy for me. I said, you know what? Let us not provide time codes. let let us not provide ever living time codes for our foolishness. Okay. Okay. Let's pretend as though we're adults and we have things to protect. So there's that. Are y'all good? What's up? First of all, can I give some shout outs, some acknowledgments, if you will? Zero PE. Thank you so much for your remix morning show love. You know, Zero PE. I noticed Zero PE cashed up this platform support during the morning show. And of course I had to in biggin the text and the note in Zero PE's generous Cash App support to make sure Zero PE did not want me to redistribute that to the others, and zero PD did not PE did not leave such specific instructions. So I said, "Oh, that's for us over here. Thank you so much." So zero PE, thank you so much for your continued support of the platform. Shout out to Dream Snack. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Mike Mack. All those that have supported Classical Breakdown over the past couple of jumps. We appreciate that. God damn it. Hold on. I'm still forgetting somebody else. And I'm so sorry to that person. And I'm gonna get it together. I'm gonna thank you before the end of the show. Because I know I'm forgetting somebody else who supported Classical Breakdown. And I did not want to leave any thank yous unsaid going into 2026, y'all. We're trying to start off with a relative clean slate. And what I mean by that is by at the bare minimum, we reciprocate and extend thanks to those that have sent support, those that have showed support, those that have showed love. You know what I'm saying? We here for tremendous energetic reciprocity. Okay. So anyone that sends us love and positivity, we will send them love back. And anyone that sends us the opposite, we will send that back also. Okay. So it's all about reciprocal energies, beloveds. Okay. I want you to make that promise to yourself as we go into 2026. You give people exactly what they give you. I'm sorry. Y'all not supposed to hear that. That's my Gargamel laugh. Oh, yeah, no, really, you don't want the Leo to start laughing like that, baby. That means different things. What the fuck is this? Sorry. Y'all, I keep having to take my name off of mass text shit. Sign the petition. Trump is at it again. Nigga, get off my fucking phone. Stop. I don't need Trump updates every which way from sideways. Get the fuck out of here. Take me off this shit. I don't want to hear nothing from no Democrats, please and thank you. I refuse. So what do we got here? What did Molly put on the thumbnail? Because Molly's thumbnails have been they have been Warholian in their artistic genius. What say you?
I was gonna say shout out to Molly for the mayonnaise jars. The mayonnaise wallpaper. Chef's kiss. Thank you, Molly. Great job. I love it. That was all. That was all me. What's up, y'all? We got 34 people in the live. Hit that like.
Come on in.
Hit that like,
y'all. Listen, I know what I know what real numbers look like. So I ain't never upset with a couple dozen. You feel me? So anyway, but I knew Molly had come up with something fantastic. So thank you to Molly, because you guys, the MAGA folks are insistent that Trump derangement syndrome is a thing, right? And we know that these people in particular are so consistent with their ability to externalize their internal feelings. So when they accuse others of being obsessed with Trump to the point of derangement, it means a couple of things: that they themselves are obsessed with Trump to the point of derangement. And what Trump is putting back into place through his policy, his posture, and his rhetoric is the idea that white people belong at the apex of this society, and that all policies and laws that have been passed over the past 5-6 decades gone by now of civil rights and women's advancement and LGBTQ equality and all these things, well, it's made fragile white people feel insecure about themselves. Okay. And the real problem here is not Trump derangement, though it could be a co-diagnosis with white fragility. And I wonder, has the American Psychological Association, is this a real thing? Because if it isn't, it should be. Okay. Because white racist fragility is something that it can be dangerous, to be quite honest, because white people have the ability in society to weaponize. I can't even call it fear, because I don't think white people are actually afraid of people of color and black people. um I think they weaponize their fragility in order to exert power, in order to maintain their social control, um and their position. And it's wild because it's like white folks haven't lost anything. Like, even with civil rights, affirmative action, white people didn't lose anything, but they feel as though they have. And one black president later, all the progress has been thrown in reverse. So anyway, I want us to highlight some examples of the white fragility just this week. Just a couple examples this week. I mean, if we wanted to study it in depth and further, there are many scholars that have indeed delved into that work. But let us look at the recent past, as in the past few days. ICE is the new Fugitive Slave Act enforcers, the new crop of ne'er-do-well, downtrodden whites, or maybe, who knows, maybe not so downtrodden. Also throwing a few former IOF soldiers in there, from what I understand from some reporting. Yep, we've got some some IOF thugs as part of this ICE Homeland Security Border Patrol mix. And a clip that I brought you guys, was it last week? Today's Tuesday. Yeah, that last week, coming out of Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, we know that Trump and his thugs have been targeting Minneapolis and its surrounding areas pretty tough, with special focus being placed on the Somali community. And one video we showed last week showed ICE really throwing around, just manhandling this obviously pregnant woman, throwing her to the ground, handling her with such force that she undoubtedly, at minimum, suffered bruises and cuts, but who knows if she was more seriously injured. Well, as part of some of the work that our folks out here, not only in the real streets, but on the internet streets, continue to do, and that is identify some of these officers. These, again, let me rephrase my shit here. Quote, unquote, officers. We don't know if these motherfuckers are officers or not. We know they just get to ride along with the t-shirt that says ICE and the vest that says police that they probably bought on Amazon. So really, we don't know who is who, because these masked assholes do not identify themselves, and nor do they feel compelled to. So I digress. So the community of locals, and of course by extension the universal global community, has taken it upon themselves to start identifying these ICE officers, because we should know who they are. You guys know I have limited faith and expectation that there's going to be any sort of legal accountability after, or if Trump leads office, right? I'm not sure if any of these fucking ICE thugs, these Gestapo officers, I don't know if they're going to be held to any legal account, but at minimum, we can hold them socially accountable. We can humiliate them. We can embarrass them. We can ask their parents why they raised such obvious pieces of shit. We can ask their wives and girlfriends, the fuck are you doing? Like, we can ask all kinds of questions, but we got to know names and faces and locations. So I want to big up to this TikTok creator. Her name is Ashley Rose. Ashley, a young about it lady, was out in the streets. I don't know how long I've been following Ashley for, but she was out there in front of the ICE facility in downtown Los Angeles for weeks, 4 weeks, giving ICE the business. And I appreciated the work that she did. So apparently she is now added to her activism, identifying some of these Gestapo jackbooted thugs. And I think that we all should know these people, because it's a matter of public safety. Well, let's go ahead and run that first clip, please.
Back to your new favorite Welcome back to your new favorite series, Ice Agent of the Day. Did you guys happen to see this video this past week? Yeah, I did too, and that is why I was thrilled when I went on to Reddit and saw this on the Ice Watch subreddit page. Everyone say hello to Brendan Cooney of New Rochelle, New York, who was seen this past week brutalizing a pregnant woman in Minneapolis. When he went viral this past week, his long history of being a mid-tier baseball player bit him in the ass quite literally when a bunch of his ex-teammates and other players who played against him immediately identified this motherfucker. And this was all just really funny because community members in New York were already looking for him because he, as an ICE agent, was seen brutalizing other women when he was on missions in New York. Also, do you guys recognize that woman? Yes, that's Polka Dot Dress Girl. The polka dot dress girl. Like this polka dot dress girl. I need to have a sincere conversation with his ex-girlfriends because I have a feeling this might be a pattern for this dude. And who knows, listen, I may need to talk to ex-boyfriends because something about this photo in particular is giving Cam from Modern Family holding one. You know what I mean? Anyway, like I said, there has been a cornucopia of video evidence of this guy being a general douchebag as an ICE agent all over the state of New York, specifically in Staten Island, as well as Minneapolis. And listen, while I love helping hold these sick, twisted sociopaths accountable and helping provide names to these really unfortunate looking faces, I also want to give you guys like some resources on the back end because simply put, naming them is not enough. It is so incredibly important that you understand what your rights are and that our communities understand what our rights are because ICE is simply put dog shitting all over them. My friends at Gen Z for Change actually put together a toolkit. It's called the Fight Toolkit, and part of the toolkit has really easily accessible and downloadable, meaning printable, little placards that have all of your rights, how to invoke them, and what ICE can and cannot do. You know where to find it, okay? But you can easily just go there and print them out, put them all over your community, in your fucking, I don't know, lobby of your apartment, at your workplace, wherever you think people will see them. Anyway, give them hell, and I'll see you guys next time for our next ICE agent of the day.
I appreciate the sharing of the toolkit and know your rights because I think I make the erroneous assumption that people do know their rights, and then I see these videos where people are understandably caught off guard. They are in shock. They're being treated with violence, with disrespect, with abruptness by these ICE agents. And I can understand sometimes people might just forget what to say, the right things to, what the magic words are. Not even so much that they're magic words, because it doesn't equate necessarily that an ICE agent will turn a person loose. But I have seen it happen, though. Like, I have seen people ask why they're being detained. They don't need to provide identification. Every person that is on American soil does have, in effect, the rights of American citizens. You have a right to remain silent. You do not need to identify yourself in every encounter with police. I mean, anyway, so I appreciate the dispensing of that information because I think I sometimes can take that for granted that everybody knows what to do. And I shared the story this morning on the Remix Morning Show about the American citizen, the woman that is born in Maryland, born in Prince George's County, was kidnapped from Baltimore City in the state of Maryland. Westmore, Westmore, Maryland's, Westmore, right? Anyway, from Maryland, this lady, Dulce Consuelo, she is in ICE detention. Her attorney gave another update. Like I said, she was abducted from Baltimore. This lady is a natural born citizen. She did spend some time as a child in Mexico, but again, spending time out of the country does not necessarily, it does not negate your citizenship one iota. So the fact that her attorney and her family are having so much difficulty trying to prove this woman's citizenship to the federal government is very troubling, I think, for us all, right? Because any modicum of protection that we might have thought that we have as American citizens, as people who have blue passport books, as people who have real identifications that we had to prove with our birth certificate with the raised seal and our social security cards and all this vital information that we had to prove our citizenship. And here it is now. That shit is revocable, apparently on site at the discretion of the officer. Welcome to America 2025, 2026. It's not a very cute situation. Further evidence of the fragility of some of the whites. Let me say this real quick. And I didn't pull this video and I wanted to. I found a video, or saw a video rather, of a little white boy, child, maybe about 6, telling his father, a white man, that white people killed everybody and stole their land. and the father's like, "Oh, really? Tell me more." And so the little boy continues to proceed to tell his dad about how white people took everybody's land and then killed them, but then we became friends later. And the father asked the little child, "Well, where did whose land did the white people steal?" And the little boy goes, "Well, white people stole the normal people's land, the people with the normal skin," which is so funny. I mean, oh my gosh, out of the mouths of babes. But my point is this: kids can see the truth when they are given the information, right? And the reason why we have multiple generations of very fragile white men in some instances is because they were raised to believe that they are at the top of the world and that everything can be given to them, or the American dream that's on a silver platter, a job that pays well, the ability to afford a home, to have a wife and support a family. White men were told, indoctrinated, that these are things that they are entitled to. And the fact that capitalism has now fucked them to the point that now they not only have trouble providing for themselves and or providing for a family, now that women get to make decisions for ourselves autonomously. I saw a creator say very simply but profoundly that men, of course, not all men, but you understand, the general men get jobs to make money, to have women, to have a woman or provide for women or whatever. Women get jobs and make money to not have to have a man. And that's left some of these men out here a day late and a motherfucking dollar short. Okay. And the white ones, not our white men friends, of course, but I mean the sad failure to launch white ones, ooh, child. They get violent and they are resentful. But no worries. Trump is here to give these white men a hand up or a hand out, depending on your perspective. So are you guys familiar with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission? I am. I actually had to go to the EEOC to deal with some crack of shit on the job, right? I found the EEOC to be, I will say, helpful. I might caveat it with somewhat helpful. Let me think about it. But overall, I'll say helpful. I appreciated their involvement rather than not appreciated. And usually, if you're going to the EEOC as an employee to have some sort of complaint about discrimination that you've experienced while on the job based on your race, your gender, your nation of origin, your sexual orientation, or even your disability, right? You can go to the government and be like, "Hey, I'm a protected class. My employer is discriminating against me based on one of these or multiple of these things. I need y'all to intervene. Let me know whether or not I can sue. And then I'll take it from there," right? And sometimes the EEOC will actually take up your case for you and sue your employer on your behalf, but it depends on the circumstances. I said that to say Trump, of course, has installed a new EEOC head. Have you guys seen this video? I had to verify when I saw it. I said, this isn't real. I said, nope, it's not real. Oh, it's real. Oh, it's real. This is a public service announcement from the new head of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And if you happen to be a white man, they're talking directly to you. Let's take a listen.
Chair of the U.S. I'm Andrea Lucas, Chair of the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Are you a white male who's experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. Contact the EEOC as soon as possible. Time limits are typically strict for filing a claim. The EEOC is the federal agency charged with enforcing federal anti-discrimination law against businesses and other private sector employers. The EEOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees. Check out eeoc.gov to learn more and read our one-page explainer about DEI-related discrimination.
I mean, you want to talk about the fragility of mediocre, unimpressive, unqualified white folks? Are you a white male? I mean, white women, are you not offended? Why the fuck? Yo, they're not even repping for all whites out here. It's just white men. Oh, and look at that fucking self-hating BITCH right there. Girl, how you sit up there with a straight face and do a call out for the aggrieved white men as a white woman? Ooh, child. Some of these white women, they just love being next to power, just adjacent to the power. Let me protect the power with my own self. so yeah, you heard that correct. I was aghast that I had heard that correct, but there we are. And again, maybe it shouldn't shock anybody. And let me say this, and it's not to say that white men are never discriminated against on the job on the basis of their race and gender. That's not true. I'm sure that does happen. I checked out a number of employment right lawyers who said, yeah, of course they've represented white male clients, but the point that several of them kept returning to is that white men are definitely not a protected class, but they have long been a privileged class, right? It is the privileged class that has always had the most opportunities, the least repercussions against them for ineptitude or incompetence on the job, and the ones most likely to be at or near the top when it comes to the management and executive structure, right? White men are not being held down here by their race and gender. Overwhelmingly, the majority of CEOs of corporations in America are white men. We have only had one non-white president out of 46 presidents. That's what 97% of the presidents have been white. Let's look around the country at some of the most elite level, let's say, institutions of higher learning. If they do have university presidents that are not white and not male, I promise you that those individuals are probably the first ever of said gender and race to who were not white men, right? So it's like white people in America have lost nothing. If anything, they have had to share a very small percentage of power. And I even think that is overly generous in my description. And because they are not running 100% of shit, they feel as though things are being stolen from them. Okay, like you niggas and non-niggas and women and gay and trans, look at y'all taking things from white men. Something must be done about this. And Trump is reinforcing that. His entire administration, with their policies, with their erasure of the contributions of non-white men to this country and to American history and all that jazz. Like, I understand why people are concerned, but I feel as though if this administration is trying to diminish the contributions and the accomplishments of everybody else except white men, then it is that just makes it more incumbent upon us to continue to re-educate not only the youth but all of our people about what we have done, what we have given, the accomplishments of individuals, the accomplishments of organizations, the accomplishments of movements throughout the history of this country. We have to continue to reinforce that education, right? Because nor should we have ever expected the federal or the state governments to tell our story and to tell our histories honestly. So I honestly don't think some of this erasure is a bad thing, because I think it will impress upon our storytellers and our historians to make sure that these things are more widely known and spread about and accepted. But yeah, so if you are a white man and you think you've been aggrieved, you should totally reach out to the EEOC, because they sound very motivated to try to do something on your behalf. So actually, our white men that we have with us, listen, if you even if you don't think even if you know that you were to call the EEOC and be 100% full of shit, call them. Fuck it. Fuck it. See what you get out of it. Okay. And especially if you work for a big corporation that has a white man himself at the very top as the CEO, who's probably earning 30 to 50 times more than the average employee at said corporation. Go get your money, white man. Go get your bread. Go get your money, white man, and do the right thing with that shit. You better redistribute. Let Trump and them get you a couple dollars, and then you immediately redistribute that to the women, to the non-white, to the non-straight, to the non-abled. Redistribute. Take advantage, I suppose. Why not? Take advantage of what the Trump administration is offering. And if your company or past employers were corporate pieces of shit, fuck it, go get your money. I won't even be mad. Just break us off a little something. Where else did I have to say about the VAT fragility? Where is we going here? Ooh, I like this one. So let's stick on the ICE and the federales that are out here roaming the streets of cities, big and small, across this country, outright harassing, profiling, kidnapping Black and brown folks. And I found a creator out of Baltimore whose name is Big H. I was not familiar with Big H, but when I saw the way that Big H read this FBI agent for filth, I said, I'm a new fan of Big H. Okay. Anybody who has cheek, who has fearlessness to go at the cops on some verbal stuff, I always love that. That's one of my favorite genres. And I love to see young Black men flexing who they are, especially in front of those who have a superiority complex. Okay. But even this pig with a badge and an alleged alphabet boy title was no match on some verbal sparring with young Big H coming out of Baltimore. I like this. This is why I wanted to show it to you. And it goes to show you about how fragile the Klansmen are. Because as soon as this young man started to own him, then the Klansman was ready to go. All right, boys, y'all ready to go? I'm tired of getting read for filth by this little blah, blah, blah. So anyway, well, let's go ahead and run that clip.
Hey, bro, I'm chilling. Okay, bro, I'm chilling, bro. You don't have to tell me what to do, bro. I'm chilling, bro. If I wasn't chilling, bro, I would be calling you some worse names than how I'm speaking to you, bro. For real, bro. Does this make you feel like tough? It doesn't make me feel like anything, bro. I'm a news reporter on TikTok. You're about to go viral, officer. What's your badge number? We don't have badge numbers. No badge numbers. What's your name, officer? The public servant who serves the public, who's refusing to identify himself?
FBI. There you go.
What's your name? What's your badge number? You're a public servant. Your duty when the public asks you to identify yourself is to identify yourself.
I don't know what TikTok lawyer told you that, but that's not how it works.
Bro, my mom is a whole lawyer, bro.
Okay.
Where did you go? Further than a high school education? I'm guessing
more
not.
school than you, so keep walking.
Actually, I graduated from Towson 2000 bachelor's in business administration. What year did you graduate?
You don't need to know.
What year did you graduate? Because he didn't go to college.
I did go to college.
He didn't. Don't try and play with my intelligence. I went to college. 2011, Towson University. Where did you go? 60 hours to be in the FBI, bro? How many hours did you put in? 10,000 in education, bro? What is your further education?
You don't need to.
All right, don't play with me like I'm not the critical thinker. I'm looking at who you work for, bro. You make like 80,000 a year, bro. You could have made that at Arby's, bro. Acting like you a fucking American hero, and look at you, just froze up. I don't like no pig, no meat, no none of that. All you people hiding behind masks who won't identify yourselves, it's a reason for that, bro. It's a reason. Y'all just did all this, came out 10 deep and harassed this man.
Your service, bro.
Thank you for your service, bro. I know I am, bro. I'm Big H. You better do your research, bro. Now get your bitch ass back in the car and go to fuck where you was going, bro.
It's nice to talk to
Get your bitch ass back in the car and go where you was going, bro. Get your bitch ass in the car like I thought. Close the door like I thought. Bitch ass, roll out, hit the gas. It's a reason. Y'all just did all this, came out 10 deep and harassed this man.
your service, bro.
Thank you for your service, bro. I know I am, bro. I'm Big H. You better do your research, bro. Now get your bitch ass back in the car and go to fuck where you was going, bro.
It's nice to talk to
Get your bitch ass back in the car and go where you was going, bro. Get your bitch ass in the car like I thought. Close the door like I thought. Pull the window up like the bitch I know you are. You a backseat bitch. You can't even sit in the front. Yo, look at y'all. Pull it off like some bitches. I'm standing right here. Who's scared of y'all? Bitch ass. They came 20 deep. They pulled this man out of his car for a Don Julio bottle, and he wasn't even drunk. They found no guns. They found no alcohol. This man walked away free. But they're using our tax dollars to have 30 and 40 officers ride a nigga dick and let him go 5 minutes later, bruh.
I mean, I felt as though the young man's critique in his summary of the situation was spot on. Spot on. They send 20 cops to come 20 deep to ride a nigga dick over some Don Julio bottle that's empty. Man ain't drunk. Man don't have no guns. Man don't have nothing attached to him. And for what? Just to harass, just to intimidate, and I can't even call it wasting resources. I suppose the police feel as though them making a big show of force. I'm not sure what part of the city they were in right there, but it doesn't even matter, right? And credit to Big 8. Shout out to him. And I love our youth, period. But let me tell you something. Many generations of Baltimoreans are not tripping off FBI. like I'm sorry, white man. I'm sorry. You thought somebody was going to be afraid just because you announced yourself as FBI. Don't nobody in Baltimore give a fuck about the fucking FBI. You know how many times? You know how long the Fed's been in Baltimore? You know how every mayor, past 10 fucking mayors, have called for federal cooperation with Baltimore police and our federal partners? Yeah. Niggas in Baltimore don't give a fuck about the FBI. And I was very glad to see the FBI. If that guy, in fact, was the FBI, who the fuck knows who he was, right? That motherfucker could have been 100% Oath Keeper cosplaying out here. Don't nobody know what these white supremacist crackers are out here doing. But I appreciate Big H just letting them know that I'm sorry, you whatever misconception or ill-conceived stereotype you may have thought about young black men, you had it all wrong. Actually, in fact, you know what I mean? These young folks are out here dropping dimes. So I love to see the masters, or rather the oppressors themselves, get owned by those that they feel should be beneath them and always beneath them. But you're not ready for that. The clip that I wanted to pull, and I didn't pull it because I think you guys have all seen it enough, right? The one from JD Vance, who was speaking at Kirkchella. Is that what the cool Klan kids are calling it? Kirkchella, the Turning Point USA Klan Fest. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. I just assumed they was in Arizona burning crosses. What else would a bunch of white supremacists get together and do? Maybe they were out there doing a bunch of Heil Hitlers in synchronization. Who knows? I don't know what the fuck they was out there doing, but I saw JD Vance get up there and talk about how it is okay to be white again. And I said, when wasn't it okay to be white in America? I'll wait. I'll wait. When is the date? What was the year? What was the decade? And I dare a motherfucker to say the Obama years, please, because white folks showed their entire ass for 8 years while there was a black president and a black family in the White House, right? Whole ass. They showed their whole ass every single fucking day. So tell me again, when wasn't it okay to be white, JD Vance? You fucking aggrieved white grievance piece of shit. JD Vance is in an interracial marriage. Maybe he wasn't aware of this. Maybe Usha tells him every day, I fucking hate you, you goddamn Elmer's glue, mayonnaise, piece of paper, pasty punk motherfucker. You think Usha tells her husband that every day? She must. Why else is JD coming out so boisterously about his whiteness unless he's being oppressed at home? I don't even know what kind of Indian Usha is. I think she Bengali? I don't know my Indians all that well, so I'm gonna mind my business. But whatever, I don't know where Usha is on the caste system, but what's the word for cracker in Bengali? Like does JD get called a cracker? How do you offend someone? What's the words that my Indian folks say to whites to hurt their feelings? Or actually, I'm sure there's nothing Indians can say to whites to hurt their feelings because whites have no idea what you're saying. But what are the words that Indians and South Asians say amongst each other, amongst yourselves about the whites that is intended to hurt their feelings? What is that word? Because I'd like to know that word, because I just wonder. JD Vance must be getting be getting called this word all the time at home. That his wife is instructing their children to call him this word. His in-laws are calling him this word. Sir, why are you coming so hard about being white? You weren't. See, this is white people in America's whole fucking problem. Whiteness doesn't exist. It only exists as a contrast to black, and it is created wholesale by whites. Okay? Nobody who is not white gives a fuck about white people claiming white pride or proud to be white. But when you say I am proud to be white specifically, that tells us that you are proud to be a racist fucking cracker. Okay? People that come out and say, I'm proud to be Italian. I'm proud to be Irish. I'm proud to be Bulgarian. I'm proud to be sweet. Okay, you know what? Because those are cultures. Those are actual nationalities that have some strata of ethnicity within Caucasia, right? Like, you know, French are different different than German, are different than Russian, etc., etc. So we, as the non-whites, have no issue with Caucasians claiming their culture, right? But whiteness in America isn't a culture. In fact, it's devoid of culture. In fact, in order to be white in America, all your ancestors came over here from Europe and had to abandon their native languages, had to abandon their native cultures and practices by and large, or y'all did that shit on the low. Y'all only talked that shit in the fucking house, okay? Like, you was not allowed, your grandmother and your great grandmother was not allowed to go outside and talk that fucking Euro shit in mixed company. Why? Because the goal was to be American. The goal was to be white, okay? And all of your ancestors bought that shit hook, line, and sinker, and voila, you have whiteness, and y'all are no longer whatever the fuck you are. In fact, you ever ask a white person, well, what is your heritage? Well, they'll name you off about 5, 6 things. They name you off several nationalities. And my guess is that they probably don't practice any of the cultural norms that come from those nationalities at all anymore. Unless you are multi-generation Euro-Jewish, right? Or multi-generation, like Italian in particular. The Italians are very good at holding on to their culture. And they'll tell you they're Italian. Well, some of them will claim the white. But anyway, but remember, our brother Dre with the Without informed us that at the turn of the century, of the 20th century, there were so many Italians being lynched by American whites that it was almost an international conflict between Italy/Sicily and the United States, because they're like, Mamma mia, please. Please, you got to save Salvatore and them. They're tearing them up. But anyway, JD Vance said it's okay to be white again. And I've seen some white folks, take this. And I'm how about next week? I'm gonna pull some clips, because I've seen in recent weeks clips of white people dropping the N-word with the hard R towards black people, and then a couple of them getting outright knocked out unconsciously, and some of them getting put into their place immediately. And let me say this, as a Gen X black person who attended school that was racially mixed, even though we were the minority, K through 12, black kids were the definite minority. Very few times did a white kid ever call one of us the N-word with a hard R and somebody not get punched in the face. And by somebody, I mean the white person using the racial slur. Like that was, but I noticed with subsequent generations that some black kids would let that shit slide, or they'd be around their white friends who would be, singing all the rap songs and just letting the N-words fly all willy-nilly. And then the black children would never correct their white friends. And that shit used to leave me in confusion. I'm like, wait a second. Because we had rap music when I was a young person, teenager, young adult. Every white friend I ever had who enjoyed rap music and would listen to it around me would always just never say the N-word when it came up in the songs. Why? Because they had good fucking sense. Because they themselves had been conditioned to know that, though not 100% guaranteed, but it was not a zero chance of a fist arriving in your face if you drop that N-word as a white person in front of black people. But somehow that fear dissipated, because I don't think that black children were given, either they weren't given the green light from their parents to immediately throw hands, or the school to prison pipeline system got so emboldened, or became better, I suppose, at charging children with actual crimes like assault for things that are school fights, right? I don't think kids should go to school. I mean, rather, I don't like middle school, high school, whatever. I don't think kids should go to jail for fucking fighting each other, right? Like that is a rite of passage. That is how children learn to defend themselves. And if you think that every child should not know how to defend themselves with their hands, I don't know what delusion you're living in. But yeah, I don't object to kid fights. Now, I don't go betting on the kids fights, but I'm saying if the kids want to throw hands, and especially if these white children want to throw the racial slurs around like that shit ain't, no big deal. Yeah. Punch in the face. Sorry. Anyway, so that was one of the things that was said at the Turning Point Klan Kids USA rally. But here's something that I wanted to play, because in addition to JD Vance proclaiming that it's okay to be white, these white nationalists and these wannabe white supremacists call themselves saying the quiet part out loud. Sometimes they have a tendency just to, whoops, that slipped out. And while this is not particular to race, I did feel it was telling, and I wanted to share it with you. So Erica Kirk, this individual, this person who I guess is still mourning their husband. I don't know what it looks like. I don't care. The fact that so many people are so interested in Erica Kirk, I find it so weird, but what else? So anyway, but this is probably the most interesting fucking thing that Erica Kirk has ever said. And this is just a little excerpt, a little clip from her speech at Turning Point Ku Clan Kids rally. And she is lavishing praise on one of the Turning Point bros named Caleb, somebody who has stepped up since Charlie took a yappa in the neck. You understand? So she's while she's lavishing praise upon Caleb, she actually slips up and says a couple things. Be tickled. I was. Will, let's run the Erica Kirk clip, please.
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same grit. It has been a long day. Trust me, you're not a grifter, honey. It's all good.
So, Turning Point USA, this multi-million-dollar, is it a nonprofit organization? I don't know. It's the White Citizens Council, but chapters and nationwide chapters. I don't know what Caleb is. I don't know what he does, but I am pretty sure, per Erica Kirk's beautiful Freudian slip there, Caleb likely is a grifter, right? I'm sure this whole TPUSA charade is a grift on many levels. I won't even say on some levels. So pay attention to what people say, because chances are that is exactly what they mean. Erica Kirk understands that she has been given the keys to the kingdom, and the come up is right now. Grift. I'm sorry. Gift. I'm sorry. Grit. It has been a long day of bullshitting everybody that I'm a sad person. Oh my God. Let me take a break here, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Oh, okay. I'll put the pedal to the metal a little bit. I'm not going to hold y'all hostage too long. Thanks to all that have tuned in, that are checking us out. Big up. Who else we got in here? Shout out to Holly. Shout out to Wendy. Peace to Latif. Peace to Swery Furries. And everybody. Who else we got up in here? Will, any acknowledgments, any shouts from the folk dem? If not, no worries. We can absolutely keep it pushing, because I do have a couple of stories I want to get to. I should, do better. I should have come with a little bit more upliftment, but I couldn't, because there were some stories that I saw that really pissed me the fuck off. And, I can't be all pretending to be, all in the Jesus spirit. No diss to Jesus. Shout out to Jesus, actually. Jesus was out here doing his thing. But this ain't Jesus' birthday this week, y'all. Be serious, okay? Jesus was a Leo. Everybody knows this, okay? How else could the Son of God be the Son of God and his ruling planet is not the sun? Be serious. I don't want to hear that shit. Everybody knows Jesus was Leo. So anyway, so I'm sorry. I have to treat the week accordingly. I'm gonna go on to my next set of stories here, because we've seen a lot of stories recently, and again, y'all, when we're talking about the history of how Black people have been treated by institutions in this country since our arrival here, even since and before America was ever founded. I mean, none of this is breaking news. It's not new news, but it's still important to note that Black folks, and especially Black children, continue to go through a bunch of shit. Not just Black kids. We throw Indigenous kids in there. Let me also add the disabled kids in there, right? Because we're also talking about three groups of children historically who have been isolated, who have been segregated, who have been institutionalized, either removed wholly from the public school system and placed into something, distorted and very perverse, or those that have been denied the equal access and lied to under the guise of separate but equal. Two stories. jumped out to me within the same week. And what I found interesting about these stories, number one, is their proximity in time into which I saw them, because these stories kind of on their own, you'd be like, because y'all, I look through new shit all the time. I bookmark my bookmarks on TikTok, probably number in the thousands at this point. It wouldn't shock me if I've gotten that many stories saved somehow. But the fact that these two stories came out within the same week, they came out from different areas of the country. This first story we are going to see comes from upstate New York, and the next one is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So we're talking about school systems not close to each other, no direct correlation except for they're both in the United States, right? So for these stories to be so similar, I can only imagine, we can only assume that this treatment of Black, Indigenous, and disabled students is institutional, is systemic. It doesn't matter what school system, or even rather what part of the country you are in. This is what it is for these kids. So both of these stories involve students being placed into either a box, a wooden box in the classroom, the fuck? Or the second story, being placed into a boiler room as punishment. Let's look at this first story. Both of these stories bothered the shit out of me. But anyway, fortunately, all the children survived. But however, the trauma is lasting. So, let's go ahead and look at this first story. Again, this came out this week, end of December 2025. You should pay attention. Let's take a listen.
In a northern New York State school district. Outrage in a northern New York State school district.
I'm here to speak for my grandson, who was put in that box.
Over what families claim is depicted in these photos, a wooden box which appears to be in the corner of a classroom and used as punishment for students, including some who have special needs. Chrissy Onyentahase Jacobs, a parent and former Salmon River Central School District board member, posted the photos to social media, given to her, she says, by teachers who recently left the district.
It broke my heart. When I received those photos, I myself became physically ill.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul calling the allegations alarming, ordering the state's independent education department to rectify this situation. Many parents speaking out at a public meeting Wednesday night. The district superintendent issuing a statement saying at no time was the item depicted in the photographs used by any student at Mohawk School. The district also serves a nearby indigenous tribe. Tribal leaders calling for the superintendent's removal and an independent investigation. The district's Board of Education announcing an investigation while reassigning the superintendent to home duties pending the outcome. But some community members say the damage is already done.
A box in the classroom for students who misbehave or students that have special needs. This school system serves an Indian nation. I'm not sure if it's the Mohawk Nation or whoa, but this type of treatment of Black and Indigenous students is hundreds of years old in this country. The plight of those that suffered and died at residential schools, both in the United States and in Canada, is such a disgusting one of many, incountable, innumerable, disgusting stains of inhumanity on the soul of this country. And here in giant big 2025 in New York, a blue state, right? Run by Democrats, right? This treatment is still happening to Black and Indigenous children because it is the fabric of America. It is the intention and this country's mission to dehumanize, to make Black and brown children feel less than as children, okay? All of this MAGA conservative talk to justify the erasure of American history and its maltreatment and genocide of indigenous nations and its enslavement of millions of Africans. I mean, the attempts to erase this is to try to restore the moral character, at least in the minds and in the perceptions of these white folks that believe in American exceptionalism, right? There's a lot of so-called blue MAGA. When I heard the term blue MAGA, I said, oh, well, whoever came up with that deserves a raise because there is a lot of white liberals, Democrats, progressives. You know, we have to get this country back to our foundational principles and respecting the Constitution. They wasn't even respecting the fucking Constitution when Obama was president. They wasn't respecting the Constitution for black people and brown people and indigenous people. Don't fucking matter. This is America. Why would they ever? Why would they deviate from the program of making black and brown people feel like shit? And if you make them feel like shit as kids, if you make them feel worthless as kids, if you make them feel less than or secondhand citizen or second class citizen, if you make them feel like that as kids, they will hopefully, according to the white supremacists and the white nationalists and those that uphold the values of white supremacy, you know, hopefully they'll continue that level of self dehumanization or, you know, self demotion as they get older. They will always feel bad about themselves. They will always see themselves as incapable of being able to fit in. And by the way, because all of that gets reinforced the further that children go on in school, black and brown kids go on in school, and it gets reinforced in the workplace too. That is, if they don't get early ensnared into the school to prison pipeline, right? I guess they're putting the kids in isolation to prepare them for solitary confinement. I don't fucking know. To Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where something very similar was happening. And again, I saw these stories days within each other. Except this time, the parents in Milwaukee have actually filed suit against the school system for allowing a school district employee to remove children from the classroom setting and put them in the boiler room. Like on some fucking Freddy Krueger shit. Like, I need y'all to, like, dog. Sidebar. As a Gen X child, I was terrified of Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street was the scariest shit I'd ever seen. And I know millennials and Gen X, Gen Z and Alpha are like, that shit looks so fake and scary. It does to you now. Okay. But when I was 8 and Freddy Krueger was new, that shit looked very scary. So when I see this story about children being placed into the boiler room as punishment, it makes me want to choke adults. Okay. And the good Lord Jesus Christ, Allah, and Mary and Joseph knew what they were doing when they kept yours truly child free, because baby, the sentences I would be serving concurrently for somebody fucking around and playing with my fucking kid. Kudos to y'all parents that are not in jail, and to the ones that are in jail. Salute to the parents, because this shit do not look easy. Well, let's go ahead and run this story from Milwaukee, and content warning, this shit might piss y'all off. Let's take a look.
Boiler room known as the dungeon. Locked in a boiler room known as the dungeon as punishment. That's what several parents say their children were subjected to at Thurston Woods School.
They've now filed a lawsuit as Fox 6's Bria Jones reports the former employee told the district he intended it as a scare tactic.
I heard that it was dark and it was hot.
What's done in the dark almost always comes to light. Several parents have now filed a lawsuit against Milwaukee Public Schools saying when students would misbehave, they'd be placed in a, quote, dungeon, seen here as punishment. The lawsuit claims a former male paraprofessional at Thurston Woods School locked 3 students in a boiler room multiple times during the 2022-2023 and 2023-2024 school years.
They don't put the older kids in there man.
The lawsuit says the room was hazardous because of the chemicals, cleaning agents, boilers, and other machinery.
They was banging on the door to get out.
Fox 6 spoke to one 10-year-old girl, a former Thurston Woods student. We're not identifying her because she's related to one of the students involved in the lawsuit. Fox 6 obtained video of one incident. Inside the lunchroom, a man in a dark-colored shirt is seen placing a child in the boiler room. It appears the child tries to open the door, but the man stands in front to keep it closed. About a minute later, you can see the man pulling the child out by the arm. The paraprofessional was investigated for violating several MPS policies. He resigned in November 2023. He told the district he placed the students in the room as a scare tactic, but according to the suit, the students and their parents say harm was done, causing the children to become scared and upset.
They came in crying. They was running in crying.
How did that make you feel?
I was just wondering. It made me feel confused.
Bria Jones, Fox 6 News.
The lawsuit also names the former paraprofessional and other school staffers they believe had knowledge of the situation. Fox 6 isn't naming them because no criminal charges were brought. The attorney for the families released a statement saying, "We hope that this lawsuit will serve as a vehicle to prevent further incidents and abuse and to obtain justice for our clients." MPS shared the following statement saying, "While we cannot comment on ongoing litigation, the district thoroughly investigated this matter in 2023 and took appropriate disciplinary action, which included termination of employment."
Okay. What I didn't hear from the statement just read there, released from Milwaukee Public Schools, is it listed? Is it ever laid out in their school policies or their employment policies with their paraprofessionals, whoever, who's in a comparable position as that individual who put those kids in the boiler room? Like, did y'all put it in the goddamn handbook? Don't put kids in the fucking boiler room. Like, did we list that out specifically in the handbook that somebody has to sign off when they are agreeing that they are going to work for the school system? Or like, what is the going forward? Because you would assume that in 2022, 2023, and 2024, any adult who has been hired and deemed qualified to work with children would have sense enough to not put them in the boiler room, period. I don't give a fuck if it was for fun. I don't care if it was for discipline. The reason it almost doesn't matter, but the fact that it was for punishment is obviously that much more worse. But still, someone literally lacked the common sense to not put the 10-year-olds in the fucking boiler room where there are chemicals, where it is dark. And again, what kind of punishment, what kind of fucking message are you sending to these small Black children that if they misbehave, then they get to experience some form of solitary confinement? Again, the way that this country prepares Black and brown children for incarceration while they are in primary school is something so fundamentally evil about America. I will never not advocate for the burning down of this settler colony, because this is how Black children get treated as an expectation of their existence as being American. Like, this is what is communicated to us and to parents, that this is what your children deserve. And it is amazing to me that, again, for reasons, I don't know what the video showing the man putting the child in the closet, or the boiler room rather, and the child attempting to get out and the man blocking. I could not tell the race of that person. I'm going to assume that maybe there was a Black person, because we have a lot of internalized self-hatred, right? That even as Black people, Black adults will look at Black children acting out, misbehaving, and just really insist that discipline, we need to scare them. This is a scare tactic. We have to scare 5th graders straight by placing them into a replication of solitary confinement in the schoolhouse setting. A Black person, people likely, knew about this and did and said nothing about it. And it's taking litigation in order to make any changes. Common sense and simple humanity never dawns on people to not treat kids this way. But because it's black kids, oh, black kids are fair game because these black kids, they be out of control, baby. They need discipline. We got to scare them straight. Otherwise what? They're going to turn into criminals? Oh, but they won't turn into criminals so long as we treat them like criminals. But you got to treat them like criminals early so they understand and learn their lesson. Yeah, that's how the fuck it works. That shit made me so goddamn mad, y'all. And that shit made me wonder. We got two separate stories a week apart, upstate New York, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Have you guys heard any stories about Black and Indigenous children, Hispanic children, children that don't speak English as their first language, children who have disabilities or special needs? You heard about them being cordoned off somewhere in some sort of sensory deprivation, fucking behavioral experiment, modification, blah, blah, blah. Like, what the fuck? Where the fuck do they do this to white children? And I'm not even saying they don't do this to white kids. I just don't be seeing the stories like that. And like, I don't see, nor do I hear about the flagrant neglect, nor do we see a comparable school to prison pipeline that exists in white communities, in white school systems for white children. It may be there in the poor white areas. Who knows? But I mean, it's reprehensible. The last story I wanted to ask or bring, rather, because when I said ask, I had actually named this whole block. What the fuck are they doing in public schools? I think that's what I wrote on the doc, like for the heading for these three stories. What the fuck are they doing in public schools? This story, I believe, came from Texas. KIPP Mosaic, KIPP. Now, gang, I don't know enough about the KIPP models. I know that there are complaints. But I hear praise, I hear complaints. Unfortunately, I'm not a parent. I'm very not plugged in to public education in this country. That's y'all business. That's other people. It's all of our business. I understand that, but I'm not a parent, so I don't fucking pay attention. Like, not like that. So anyway, so I hear conflicting things about the KIPP models. Let's say that. But this incident doesn't have much to do with the education model of the school. However, it has everything to do with the level of care and attention that Black children who have chronic health conditions, the level of care and concern that they receive from their school. So let's go to, I believe, Texas, where this adorable Black little girl, we're going to open the clip of her, I believe, talking about Lilo and Stitch, and she has a bunch of cartoony stuff that she's showing to the reporter. This little girl, so sweet, so articulate, so beautiful. And it's so sad that the adults at her school saw her have a medical emergency. And when I tell you these people were blasé as fuck about this little girl who, according to them, was going in and out of consciousness. And they're like, oh, well, she seems to be a little tired. It's like, what? So I want to salute this child's mother in advance before we even run the story for not burning the school down. I think the school's still standing. So kudos to mom. Shout out to mom for not burning the fucking school down after the way her child was treated when she suffered an asthma attack. And we will pick up the story from there. Will, let's take a listen.
Stitch shirts, stitch posters, stitch shirts, stitch pants.
The comforting cartoon characters of childhood.
I got like stitch jackets, sweaters.
The kinds of things 8-year-old Kyrie Randall likes to focus on. Not heart monitors, inhalers, and near-death experiences. Last Friday during recess at KIPP Mosaic,
the boys were chasing the girls.
Kyrie says she suffered an asthma attack while running at the playground.
And then I took a breath, and then that was my last breath, and then I just took the money and then I fell.
A medical emergency is one thing, but Kyrie's mom, Katoya Barnes, says the school's response is an entirely different matter.
Negligent at its finest. child neglect.
Barnes says school staff first called the girl's father. Then, when they finally reached her, she claims there wasn't any sense of urgency.
Yes, Mom, we have her in the office now. She's been going in and out of consciousness, but the nurse isn't here. I proceed to say, well, did you call 911? It was a brief pause. No.
KIPP released this statement in response, confirming EMS responded, but not saying who contacted them. Barnes says it was her mother.
I called my mom. Mom, it's an emergency at KIPP. Kyrie is in and out of consciousness. Call 911. She's like, what's going on? I don't have time to talk. Call them so I can call back to the school.
KIPP didn't respond when we asked if any school employee called 911. And when Barnes got to the school Friday, she claims the apathy continued.
I'm freaked out at this point. I'm freaked out. I'm yelling, cursing. Where's the asthma pump?
Kyrie was ultimately taken to the hospital and released with a heart monitor, which he now wears daily. KIPP says it'll work with her family to make sure a medical plan's in place. But her mom says they've had one filed with the school since pre-K.
They know of everything.
And it wasn't followed last week.
I want accountability. I want jobs. I want criminal charges pressed.
Luke Jones.
Woo, child. I pity the fool who will call me to tell me my child is in and out of consciousness. I ask, did you call the ambulance? And they say no. What? There's a whole medical plan on file for this child. The child is 9. It sounds as though she's been at the school since pre-K. So, I'm not good at the maths here. But it sounds like she's been out to school about 4, 5, 6 years, right? She's 9. She's probably in the 4th grade. She was there for kindergarten and there for pre-K. She's been there about 4, 5, 6 years. Medical plan's been on file whole time. Asthma pump present at the school whole time. The child is in and out of consciousness after suffering an asthma attack. Is everybody clear here that people die from asthma attacks? Is that not known? Is that not ubiquitous knowledge across adults, even if you have a very baseline understanding of human health and how respiratory illnesses work, especially chronic conditions like asthma? Like, everybody doesn't know that people die from asthma attacks. The child is in and out of consciousness. No one thinks to call 911. These motherfuckers gonna make literally 2 to 3 other phone calls before calling the ambulance. Oh, and to be clear, in the report, it doesn't specify that the school is the ones who actually called the ambulance. Another third-party person did. Child's grandmother at the behest of the child's mother, because the school just didn't give a fuck about whether or not this black little girl lived or died. You didn't care about whether or not she received treatment. What the fuck? You was going to call her mother and send her back to class? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is the shit that just be boggling my mind. Like, what do people look at black children and see? Like, do you see small adults? Do you see small autonomous beings who are capable and ability, have the ability to make decisions and are responsible for not only their own actions, but responsible for their own healthcare at age 9? Like, I hate this adultification of black children. Like, I can't even understand, like, what is the rationale? I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the person who is making the call to the mother who has the child directly in front of them and witnessing the child in and out of consciousness and just thinking, oh, well, I guess we'll call dad. What? I don't see. And I give my hats off and I applaud all of you parents whose children go off to school every day. And I know capitalism forces us with no options, no choice, right? The kids have to eat, right? And in order for that to happen, you have to work. And in order for that to happen, someone has to be watching the child. But God damn, who the fuck is watching the child? And I don't understand why people go into education when they really don't like fucking kids. Like if you don't have the heart nor compassion or tolerance or patience or empathy to deal with children as children and to treat them as children, please go find other work. Okay? Stop being around other people's kids. Stop being around other people's kids. Cause our kids are not safe around swaths of these adults. And it's I just cram to understand how in 2025 people continue to do children this way, but Black kids especially are expected to be tougher, are expected to bounce back, or may be disbelieved entirely if they are experiencing some sort of physical health crisis or mental health crisis. Oh, you're just faking. Oh, she's just being dramatic. She just keeps going in and out of consciousness. Wait till wait till she stops acting. The disregard this society, non-Black people and some Black people, just the outright contempt that people have for kids, to me is absolutely reprehensible. And I absolutely support smacking fucking adults in the goddamn teeth who don't have any business being around kids, who don't have any business caring for kids. The sister there said that she wants charges. I get it. And unfortunately, she's going to have to become litigious. These people, these school systems only understand money. And at the same time, that doesn't change policy a lot of times. They'll just go ahead and settle the lawsuit and won't make any policy changes. But I bet you know what would make somebody call the ambulance the next time they see a child experiencing an asthma attack is if they got smacked in the teeth for not calling the ambulance for the previous child that experienced an asthma attack. This is not a call to violence. I'm just saying. I'm gonna hurry up here. Shit. I'm debating on whether or not to what's a face. Should I do my next story? Should I just play the palate cleanser? Should I bounce? Because actually, let me go ahead and run through it because we're not doing a show Friday. So let me get it while the getting's good. Well, I'm gonna turn you loose right here real quick. Switching gears here for a moment. You guys know one of the veins I like to roll down or roll up. What do you do with veins? One of the veins I like to shoot up sometimes. The veins of topics, that is, that I like to shoot into my veins of topics, has to do with woo child, the state of the little mandem, the boys, the mandem as a whole. With the men need prayer. Okay, so I need you to please be out here. Pray for these dudes because they actually need a lot of prayer. But really, your daughters need the most prayers of protection because some of these little boys are being raised wholesale like wolves. And it appears as though in the United States, people like Nicki Minaj at the Turning Point Cool Clan Kids rally wants to say it's fine for boys to be boys. We just want boys to be boys. Whatever the fuck that means, okay? That sounds like a call to danger when you say you want boys to be boys. But over in the UK, they seem to take the issue of misogyny a bit more seriously as a society, though they do have deep problems with sexual abuse and child grooming from the whites, and apparently a handful of brown uncles is over there grooming kids as well. But anyway, we know the majority of the groomers are. But I digress. When it comes to the issue of misogyny amongst boys, this has actually been studied from a governmental perspective by the United Kingdom. And there was a recent report, and there have been some suggestions as to what the UK, starting at the school setting, can do to try to mitigate and change the way that boys view their girl classmates. So anyway, let's take a look at this. I want to say this is from Sky News. I know. I know. But it's an interesting package. Will, let's go ahead and take a listen.
Misogynist. Well, the government have published their new violence against women and girls. How do you stop boys becoming misogynist? Well, the government have published their new violence against women and girls strategy. Here's what we know. The big message is prevention, intervening early, trying to stop children, particularly young boys, from becoming radicalised and challenging misogyny. But what does that actually look like?
There has been a movement back to the attitudes of boys that I was seeing 20 years ago, where comments like, well, girls are gold diggers, girls are trying to manipulate boys and men, so if they experience violence, they've only got themselves to blame.
We heard in the workshop like phrases like toxic relationships, toxic, you hear it like in adolescence and things like that, toxic masculinity. I mean, does that reflect sort of, you guys are on your phones, you're on social media, you're online a lot, you don't have to tell me personal stories, but like, does that sort of reflect what you're seeing online? Do people feel?
I feel like most people have experienced it, and it's not a good feeling, and it's good to learn how to deal with it and what to do in that situation, so you have more like of an open view of what to do when it happens.
Yeah, it helps us in society because online sometimes they think it's like, oh yeah, this is like socially like right to do, like this is fine, and then you learn from another person like an expert, and then like, oh no, this is this type of like manipulation, this type of abuse. And
so how are they going to stop it? Well, one, teachers are going to be given specialist training. All secondary schools will be required to have healthy relationship lessons by 2029. Second, boys as 11 could be referred to anti-misogyny classes, looking at things like online harassment and stalking, the dangers of pornography and image-based abuse. And that's another thing. They want to work with tech companies to protect young people online with nudification tools that use AI to turn real pictures into fake news to be banned.
We used to think a young person in their room was safe, and now they're not safe. They're at risk of things like sextortion, so being pressured into sending intimate images, or even deep fakes, so it isn't even an image of themselves, but it looks so realistic that other people believe them.
So a big focus on intervening early, but the scale of violence against women and girls is massive. The government wants to halve it in the next decade. Latest figures show that 1 in 8 women were a victim of domestic abuse, sexual assault or stalking in the last year.
My largest worry is that the more it's successful, the more we drive and allow victims to come forward, we need to have the resource, the funding in place to be able to properly support them. There are some big figures in the strategy published today, but when I look at them and understand them as I do, I know that they're multi-year, they're over the course of several years, essentially maintain the same levels of funding that we have for domestic abuse, sexual violence, stalking services now, with a very modest increase. And that is not going to be what we need to really measure up to this challenge.
You know, even though it's a relatively short and abbreviated clip, just hearing these policy suggestions is very impressive. And to be clear, I don't think highly of Britain. I do not think highly of the UK as a place. It looks smelly. The food doesn't look good. I never really want to go there. Shout out to Damien, though. Big up Stoner Loner. And to all of our friends over there in the UK. We know that y'all too would rather be in a different latitude. I digress, but I appreciate at least, number one, the acknowledgement that gender-based harassment and violence and misogyny, these are societal ills. These are actually public health crises, okay? When they say 1 in 8 women in the UK will experience domestic violence, it sounds as though their government is concerned about this and they want to address it and they want to take it seriously, and they understand that in order to intervene with violent men, you need to intervene with them when they are boys, right? You got to get to them. You have to adjust and broaden their perspective about how they view women in relationships writ large. You have to get to them while they are boys, because once they become men, oh boy, and then they, you know what I'm saying, they get more dangerous, assumedly. But hold on. I mean, I want you guys to compare this. Have you ever I won't say it's never happened. I won't say that NIH, the National Institutes of Health, or Health and Human Services Department, I won't say that they have never talked about this, but I don't ever recall anything comprehensive coming from the federal level addressing misogyny and correlating that directly to the amount of gender-based violence we see in America. I just maybe assume that the federal government doesn't think that domestic violence, sexual assault, femicide, like I just assume that the US government doesn't think that these are problems or that these are issues that need addressing. But when we look at, for example, the rates of rape and sexual assault amongst women and girls, it's estimated to be 1 in 4, and that's even somewhat of a lowball estimate. Sexual abuse against boys is 1 in 6. Again, another assumed lowball estimate. Like, are we ever going to deal with this, you think, comprehensively from a policy perspective? Like, do you ever think that in American public schools you will see misogyny intervention for boys as young as 11, as is what's being proposed in the UK? No, because I guess that's some sort of DEI, right? That is preventing boys from being boys if you make them respect women. How can boys be boys if you're making them respect their girl classmates? Come on. Be for real. Why are men under attack? Why don't y'all just leave the men alone? The reason is this. Well, now, number one, we should not leave men alone. In fact, we need to intervene with men and boys really as early and as often as is possible and is allowable. You guys also know that I think that two of a multi-pronged attack on misogyny and violence against women is, two things I believe should happen is that men should start beating the shit out of abusive men. No men that are known abusers, men that are known rapists, men that you might see in the club put something in a woman's drink. Hey, fellas, if you see a man drop something in a woman's drink at a bar or a club, it is your responsibility to go over there and smack the shit out of him, to literally smack the fucking dog piss out that motherfucker. All right? Chances are he ain't going to swing on you because he likes to do the violence against women, and men that like to do that are pussy. They don't want to throw hands with another man. So again, I'm saying everybody judge your level of risk accordingly, but understand this is the type of reactions and responses that we need to begin to see in order for this shit to come down. Also, women, if you find yourself under attack, under domestic or sexual abuse, kill that motherfucker dead. Okay, graveyard dead. Okay, kill him, because it will deter the next one. Okay, or it will deter the next one, and or the one currently in the midst of the abuse in progress won't have a chance to do it to another one. Okay, so if we start seeing those two things start to come about, I think we could see some societal changes here in the United States. But until then, you better tell your daughters how to protect themselves. And I want to bring you guys a story. And this is not a cute story. This is not a fun story. This is a very fucking sad and fucked up story. But I have not heard about it that much. I feel responsible to bring it. Okay. A 14-year-old girl out of Santa Rosa County in Florida was killed by two of her classmates. Her classmates aged 14 and 16, two boys. Okay. And it is a tragic and horrific story. And it is an example that violent misogyny happens against girls while they are girls, before they even have a chance to grow up and be women. Their boy male counterparts feel that they have the right to not only harm them, but kill them, murder them. And then the boys went home as though ain't shit fucking happened. So I do have some updates about this story, but in case you haven't seen the story, let me run this package for you. Let's go ahead, Will.
Teens are behind bars. Two Pace teens are behind bars accused of murdering a 14-year-old girl. 16-year-old Gabriel Williams and 14-year-old Kamari Blevins are both charged with first-degree premeditated murder. The victim, 14-year-old Danica Troy. Her mother reported her missing Monday. 1 day later, her body was found. WEAR's Brent Carney joining us. And Brent, you've had a chance to go through the arrest reports. What have you learned?
Sue, one of the biggest questions still unanswered here is why. According to the arrest report, a witness told deputies Blevins and Williams planned this attack. A 14-year-old girl found shot multiple times and then set on fire on this walking path in Florida town.
Oh, it just shocks me. It's always been so quiet here, and it's getting bad, really. It's terrifying, in fact.
The crime scene tape still up here off of Kimberly Road. Sheriff Bob Johnson says Danica Troy was lured here by 14-year-old Kamari Blevins and 16-year-old Gabriel Williams.
It's bad enough you kill a 14-year-old, you're 14, you're 16, shoot her multiple times, then they set her on fire.
According to the arrest report, Troy's mother reported her missing on Monday. She says the girl took her electric scooter with her. On Tuesday, a man walking on the wooded path found the body, badly burned. Investigators say they identified her as Troy based on the shoes she was wearing and the scooter found nearby. The arrest report says a witness told investigators Williams and Blevins planned the murder. The report states Blevins told deputies he and Troy had a falling out on social media before Thanksgiving break, and he blocked her on social media. Deputies also interviewed Williams, who told investigators Troy made comments that upset him. Williams then shared more with investigators, but that conversation was redacted from the report.
They have been interviewed, but the motive that they're giving doesn't fit the forensics or any facts of the case.
As for how the two got the gun, Sheriff Johnson says Williams stole it from his mother. Johnson says at this time, no charges are being filed against the parents. Investigators now working to determine a motive.
This is what Major Crimes calls a ground ball. The evidence pointed to him immediately. They took him into custody immediately. And, unfortunately for, the Troy family, they have to go through this.
And both Blevins and Williams are now in the Santa Rosa Juvenile Detention Center. The state attorney's office says it will now present the case to a grand jury to determine if the two should be charged as adults. In the studio.
Yeah, I think the latest update is that the prosecutor, again, does intend to charge them both as adults with first-degree premeditated murder. These alleged killers, aged 14 and 16, their victim only 14 years old. And I'm so scared for the young women. Fuck, I'm scared for us old women out here when it comes to these emotionally dysregulated males, okay? I'm so sorry to the 14-year-old girl's family. I have a lot of feelings here. First of all, I disagree with the absence of charges for the parents. Whoever's gun it was, you need charges. The mother, this is a separate story if you guys might remember this, but I think it happened, I think it was Newport News. The 6-year-old who shot their teacher is a very well publicized case, made national news. The mother of that 6-year-old is in jail right now, actually, for different reasons, but basically pertaining to leaving access to the gun. I think they might have charged her with lying about the application about drugs or whatever because she smoked weed and bought the gun, and I guess you can't smoke weed and buy guns. I don't understand how that works. But my point is this: they didn't hesitate to put that Black woman in jail, right, or even charge her for her 6-year-old getting access to a gun and shooting somebody, right? So I don't see, and I understand we're talking about different states, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't understand how adults charged with the security and the handling of a firearm in the same house as a teenager is not somehow criminally responsible for that teenager getting their hands on that gun and eventually taking the life of another. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but I think there should be adults included in the responsibility. But also the reasons, at least reported in that package, given by the accused as to why they killed 14-year-old Danica Troy, because they had a falling out on social media because she said things, according to them, that they didn't like on social media. They blocked her. The things that she said made them upset. I'm sorry. Like, are y'all are people actually raising cave boys out here? Like, can't nobody upset the fucking 14-year-old boy lest he go retrieve the Glock 11 and put several bullets in the person that upset them? Would he have felt the same way if the classmate that upset them was a boy? I don't know. But what little attention are people paying to their kids? What little attention are people paying to their fucking guns? Like, what the fuck? The ways in which boys in particular are socialized and conditioned to deal with feelings of anger, of rejection, of frustration, of sadness, that their first resort or part of their list of coping skills has to do with literally plotting to take the life of another. And the fact that these kids had such poor concept of consequence. Like, these boys may never get out of jail. They may be well into their 40s or 50s. I don't know what life in Florida prison looks like. You know, they keep making the penalties harsher and harder. These kids may not come home for many decades. And the fact that no adult ever told them that that was a possibility, that's what might happen to you if you hurt somebody, if you kill someone. And why would an adult think that a kid wouldn't think that? It wouldn't shock me if we looked into the video game collections of these boys and found what? How many shoot up games you think they got? A 14-year-old in 2025, a 16-year-old in 2025. How many shoot 'em up killer, first person assassin point of view games? How many do you think they got? 3, 5, 7, several, right? When you buy your kids these fucking shoot 'em up games, your teenagers, your little kids, when you buy your kids these fucking games and you leave them in the room for hours and hours to go on missions and shoot up the shit, you're only helping to condition your kid to be a killer and to not have any real interaction, face-to-face interaction, play, disagreement, any of the shit that kids for thousands of years, for millennia, prior to this fucking technologically advanced yet piss poor example of a century, up until now, kids have had to deal with each other and play and work out confrontations and fight fist to fist if need be. Now they isolate, they only socialize via the game, of which they are joining together in a team exercise to go on killing sprees. So when they get turned out in the real world, turned loose in the real world, and they encounter these feelings of rejection, of anger, etc., they're doing what their response is. They're going to shoot them up. I'll keep you guys posted on what happens with this case, though. Usually, I am inclined to sympathize. Maybe to my own folly, right? I don't need to repeat my personal situation. I think I've said it enough times. You guys know. But even in that personal situation in which someone very close to me was taken, I had empathy for that fucking 16-year-old kid. I had empathy for the kid. I'm having a hard time empathizing with this 14 and the 16-year-old here. I really am. I usually can do the whole, well, their frontal temporal lobes is not formed and their decision making. No. Fuck these little boys. Fuck them. They get exactly what the fuck they get. I don't have compassion for these two. Not a drop. I have compassion for their victim, their 14-year-old. And by the way, y'all, for your daughters, I don't care how old your daughters are, actually. Like, obviously, I know people, children cannot and should not bring weapons onto the school campus. I get that. But when your kid come home and your kid go back outside to play, put something in your kid's hand. I really don't. I'm serious. Like, your kids, even your little ones, have to be able to defend themselves. Okay, this is Sparta. All right, we're in Sparta. 10-year-olds got to know how to knuckle the fuck up. 10-year-olds got to know how to swing a blade. I'm sorry. And it's not to ruin your child's innocence. It is truly to save their life potentially. I wish it weren't so. But if that young woman, you know what? There's nothing I can say. I don't know what she could have done to defend herself versus two boys, one armed with a fucking Glock. And last but not least, I do have a palate cleanser. Thank you all so much for everything. It's not like a happy palate cleanser, but it's an energy palate cleanser. It's the energy that I'm here for. Let's circle back to ICE. These pieces of shit. Greg Bovino. Is that his name? I get Greg Bovino and Dan Bongino confused because, you know, crackers. I cannot tell a saltine from a stone ground club cracker, right? Whatever. So Greg Bovino, that fucking Klansman Heil Hitler piece of shit, that rock, paper, scissors, fucking square-headed mushroom dick piece of shit, spotted back in Chicago, right? As ICE continues to terrorize all of our folks, continues to terrorize our neighbors, continues to terrorize migrants and American citizens alike, right? So the sister, I'm assuming she's a sister, and I mean sister, I mean woman. I don't know if there's a white woman. I don't know the nationality of this woman. I don't know if they identify as woman, but it sounded like a woman. and you guys know what a fan I am of the women that have been directly confronting ICE and Homeland Security agents who have been putting their bodies on the line, some of whom have been shot trying to intervene and prevent ICE from kidnapping people. And it is proving to these jackbooted thugs, these fucking Gestapo SS soldiers, that we ain't scared of you motherfuckers, okay? Women out here are not scared of you little pussies, okay? Because it is giant. Well, again, I'm sorry. Pussy is strong. It is giant, soft as scrotum skin energy amongst these ICE and Homeland Security jackbooted thugs. And when this sister spotted Greg Bovino back in Chicago, she just wanted to say, hey. and she said it with what Kelechi Okafor calls vim. I don't even know what vim is, but I know what vim is. So she says it with vim. Will, let's go ahead and run the palate cleanser.
It's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit, Bovino. The loser piece of shit bitch. Because you're a bitch, and you're a bitch, and you're a bitch, and you're a bitch, and you're a bitch. Bitch. A whole bunch of bitches. A bunch of bitches is what you are.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, because you're a bitch, and you're a bitch, and you're a bitch, and you're a bitch. A bunch of bitches. Greg Bovino and his merry band of bitches. Looking like bitches, sounding like bitches, doing bitch ass shit across the country. And again, shout out to Chicago, shout out to Charlotte, shout out to Minneapolis, shout out to the workers in New Orleans who are dropping those voodoo dolls all over town. I love it. I salute it. I rate it. We're going to take that exact same energy into 2026 with us, okay? You call out bitches when you see them. You understand me? And motherfuckers want to try you or even want to support and love you, okay? We greet people with reciprocity. The same energy people give you, you give it right back to them. Motherfucking coming at you with bitch ass energy. Oh, I can show you what bitch so you want to, but also they come with the love, they come with the respect, they come with the support. You reciprocate with gratitude and appreciation and all of those things. So you guys, no show on Friday. Hold on, some shout outs. Do we have some acknowledgments, Will? Did I see some boxes roll up? I want to shout out to Pops rocking with us live in the chat. What's up, Pops? Thank you so much for watching tonight. I so appreciate it.
What's up? What's up? Yeah, we got super chat from Vesper X. Out of a 9-year into 1 year, 2026 equals new beginnings. FAFO. Shout out to Vesper X.
Real.
Lady
That's
Alex, real. Chichi Mancha, and nobody's friend here. Of course, Latif, KJ
Sakuma,
KJ Sakuma, my bad.
You over there sound like Air Doctor.
Yeah, I'm over here like, whoa. Balancing that. Who else we got in here? Whole Glow.
Hey.
Rosalba, Tyler.
Hey.
Afraid Not. Ode to John Trudell.
Thank you, Ode to John.
Who else? Who else? I think that's I'm of course Rosalba, Twitch fam.
What's up,
Shout
Twitch?
out to y'all.
PJ, what up?
Who else?
Open Witch, what up?
If I missed you, I'm sorry. That was it. I think that was
cool.
it. Yeah. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Like and share. Remember the share part. Also, please like. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much to Will. Thank you so much to Molly. I was going to say something and it just left my brain. Vesper, out of a 9-year into a 1, Vesper. Listen, 2026, I don't know what it's going to look like for me, y'all, but I on my insides, on the inside, my insides are telling me anticipate good things, not just good things, but really great things. And you know, I'm not really that optimistic of a person usually. You know what I'm saying? I'm very much Eeyore in my disposition. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of Eeyore in me, in spite of being a Leo. But Vesper, to your point, next year is in Chinese astrology is a horse year, is the year of the horse. I'm a horse, okay? Not Baltimore whore. Not Baltimore. I know y'all heard whore when I said horse. ORSE horse. And in Chinese astrology, they associate the years with elements. And next year, 2026, is a fire horse year. Whoa. Uh-oh. Not my element and my year in the same year. What do you say? Be nice to me. I will be outstanding to you. Be fucked up to me. I will be outstandingly fucked up to you. Them's the rules. Anyway, gang, please enjoy your holiday, whatever that may be. Happy belated Hanukkah. Is Hanukkah still rocking? If not, happy belated Hanukkah. Happy Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa coming on up. Happy Chinese New Year, but that's not till February. So anyway, if you celebrate the things, celebrate it, observe it, practice it, salute. If you don't celebrate, enjoy your time with your family and friends and loved ones. Or if your family and friends and loved ones get on your motherfucking nerves, I hope you enjoy your time by your goddamn self, okay? Because I support spending time by your goddamn self. It's amongst some of my favorite time spent, to be quite honest. So, you know, do you, basically. So anyway, we'll see you guys back here next week, next Tuesday. Please join the Remix Morning Show tomorrow morning. And y'all be easy, be safe out here. Thank you so much to Will and Molly. Peace to all of our wonderful mods. We appreciate you. Love you guys. See y'all later. Bye bye. See you.